Welcome back, my luxurious fleet, and welcome to part 2 of the history and future of the F Performance line by Lexus. In part 1, we covered the short 10-year history of this iconic performance brand. Part 2 is where we're going to dig deep and speculate what we're most likely to see from the F line going forward. Hit that like button, I'll see you on the other side, and let's get into it. All but announced at this point is the next performance car from Lexus. This is the LCF. We don't know a whole lot about this one, but we do know more about it than the rest of the cars we're going to talk about later on in this video. It looks like this F car is going to ditch that 5-liter 2UR GSE motor that we saw in the ISF, the RCF, and the GSF, and it's going to ditch it for a 4-liter twin-turbo V8. With twin turbos, this motor is expected to make over 600 horsepower. Lamborghini has a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 as well that makes about 640 horsepower. This motor is expected to make possibly even more than that. From my sources, what I heard is that Akio Toyota drove this vehicle with 600 horsepower at the time, and he said that it wasn't enough power. So you're probably going to see around 650 horsepower or more coming out of this twin turbo V8 4-liter. This will be by far the most powerful F vehicle ever made, significantly more powerful than even the Nürburgring package of the LFA. Also, for the first time, you'll probably see the 10-speed direct shift transmission that you see in the LS 500 and the LC 500, and it's going to ditch that 8-speed that you see in the RCF, for example. Expect also to see elements for the RCF Track Edition in this LCF. So what does that mean? Well, that means a carbon fiber hood, you're going to have a carbon fiber roof, you're going to have a carbon fiber fixed spoiler, you're going to have all sorts of carbon fiber ground effects and front and rear splitters as well, possibly even mirrors. You're also going to see carbon ceramic brakes that you see in the RCF Track Edition, and of course that you saw in the LFA as well. The LCF will stay rear-wheel drive. I know that might come as a surprise to some of you, but this vehicle will stay rear-wheel drive from everything I've heard. And my guess is that it'll hit 60 miles per hour in just over 3 seconds, but it'll probably be faster than the LFA ever was to 60. The LFA got to 60 in 3.6. This car will probably get there in the low threes. The biggest issue in the current LC for its maximum performance is its overall weight. It's a porky 4,280 pounds. Expect the LCF to weigh in less than 4,000 pounds by the time they're trimming things up and replacing them with carbon fiber and aluminum body parts as well. I'm expecting Lexus to take on the AMG GTR Super Coupe from their competitor. I think that is going to be their #1 target with this vehicle. It shares a lot in terms of overall design. It is rear-wheel drive. It's got a big twin-turbo V8 in the front. It's going to have a lot of carbon fiber as well. And they're both iconic, beautiful cars. The LC and the AMG GT, they are both just gorgeously sculpted vehicles. The BMW 8 Series, for example, just doesn't do it for me. These two cars were almost looks like they would be designed to go head-to-head together, like from the same era, the same sort of technology and design, just from different parts of the world. They're really, really special vehicles. That AMG GTR has 577 horsepower, and it goes 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds, and has a top speed of 198 miles an hour. That is crazy. Its time at the Nürburgring Nordschleife was 7 minutes and 10 seconds, almost 11 seconds if you round up. That's like 3 to 4 seconds faster than the LFA was. That's crazy. Could the LCF really be able to beat this 3,600 pound AMG GTR around the track? I don't think they will be able to. I just don't think the LC will be able to trim enough weight unless they somehow make the entire body out of carbon fiber polymer. I just don't see it happening. But they might be able to beat the LFA's best time. It's going to have a hell of a lot more torque. It's going to have a heck of a lot more peak power as well. So I think that it might be able to beat the LFAs, but man, that the AMG GTR is one quick coupe. Pricing on this, my guess is going to be at $150,000, which is slightly below the $159,000 MSRP from the AMG GTR. Let's just hope we see this super coupe by the end of 2020, and hopefully there's not an updated AMG GTR at that point, because I don't know if Lexus would be able to compete directly with it. But I think they could do a really, really good job if they came out with this vehicle as soon as possible, got it to market, and just have another Halo product. They don't have a Halo product right now like the LFA was. The next F car I think we'll see after the LCF is going to be the ISF2. They're not going to call it that. It's just going to be called the ISF. I expect this IS to reprise its role as a leading F-performance vehicle for the brand. History tends to repeat itself, and I see the next ISF starting a new evolution for the F brand, with not only forced induction like we saw in the LCF, but I believe, and this is just all my stuff that I'm going to go over is just pure speculation, but I feel like I do have a good amount of base knowledge about the brand to be able to speculate and to be possibly fairly accurate. But who knows? I don't know the future. But so I mentioned forced induction. I believe this is going to be the first F car with all-wheel drive. The ISF is rumored to get a remodel for 2021. Well, just the IS in general, not necessarily the F. We'll get into that second. We'll see. What we'll see out of this remodel is anyone's guess, and I'm just talking about the IS right now, not the ISF. However, I'm betting on a bigger IS when they remodel the car and help it kind of take the place of the GS. If the GS is being canceled, I could see the IS growing a little bit in stature, kind of between where it is right now and to the GS, kind of right in between. The next IS will probably have a modified version of the TNGA L platform, which is shared with the LS and the LC. This vehicle would probably be a direct competitor to Infinity's Q50 lineup. It kind of is right now, but the Q50 is a tad bit bigger. In order to do that, Lexus does need to update their power plants to be able to compete with the 400 horsepower twin turbo 3-liter V6 that we see in the Q50 Red Sport. Remember, I'm still just talking about the regular IS. I'm not talking about the ISF yet. Rumored for the IS 350, well, I don't know what they're called, but the replacement for the IS 350 is possibly a brand new Turbo 4. It's going to be 2.4 liters, producing possibly as much as 318 horsepower. And who knows what the torque figure is going to be on that. It could be right around there. It could even be more. If you look at Lexus's inline 4 that you see in the NX, that one's turbocharged as well, but it has 235 horsepower, but it has 258 pound-feet of torque. They're able to tune those motors to get even more torque than horsepower. So it would be awesome if we saw heaps of torque in this. If we get 318 horsepower, that'd be awesome if we saw about 340 to 350 pound-feet of torque. And I think that would really take it to the Q50 sedan and its turbo 3-liter. But what about the ISF? I know this is an F-Series video, so let's focus on what the future ISF could be. Well, they put in an updated 2UR GSE motor that we saw in the very first ISF. I think that would be nostalgic in a lot of ways, but we've seen that before. We've been there, done that. I don't think they would do that again, especially in this dying age of V8s. And with forced induction, this is the forced induction era. This is the last era, in my opinion, of the great combustion engine before things start going over to hybrid and eventually possibly fully electric or some other alternative to internal combustion. So I think they're going to scrap the 5-liter V8. Instead, I think they're going to have a forced induction V6. I think what they'll do is they'll take the 3.5-liter twin turbo V6 from the LS 500, which has 416 horsepower. I hope they're able to boost that closer to 450 horsepower. No, it's not as much power as the 2UR GSE on paper. That one has about 470 horsepower. But if we get about 450 horsepower in this twin turbo V6 we see from the LS, that means it's probably going to have close to 500 foot-pounds of torque, and it makes a lot of that power at a much lower RPM than you see in the naturally aspirated V8. Since this will also be the first ever all-wheel drive F model, the 0 to 60 time is going to be ridiculous. I could see it being in the mid 3 seconds if they're able to get that much torque and power into this new ISF. Expect 19-inch wheels. Yeah, they could do 20s. I don't see it happening because it'll still be smaller than the GS, and the GS right now, the GSF for example, has 19-inch wheels. So I think they're going to stay with that. Let me know in the comments below what you think that Lexus will do if and when they come out with an ISF. Do you think it's going to be the twin-turbo V6 from the LS, just increased in horsepower a little bit? I think that's what they'll do. But also feel free to comment and speculate on what they'll do in the next IS, which I should probably just do a video on that sometime, even though I covered most of it in this. But let's get into what the next F car might be for Lexus. Okay guys, so I pretty much finished the entire video and editing, but I forgot about one really apparent vehicle that for some reason I didn't even pop in my mind. I don't know, I had like a brain fart on this. But the LSF, would they make it? I don't know. Obviously this is all conjecture anyways, but if they did make it, they would put the twin turbo V8 that you would see in the LCF. So it would have copious amounts of power, probably over 600 horsepower, just like you would see in the LCF. Definitely bigger tires, maybe make it a little bit wider. It is quite possible that they can make an LCF. I didn't write a script or anything like that, what we could see, but I had to mention it and throw it in this video so you guys wouldn't, be hating on me in the comments. Just wanted to throw that in there. So we talked about the upcoming LCF that's going to happen, and we talked about the ISF, which is more than likely going to happen. These next two are kind of a stretch. We really don't have a lot to go off of. Both of these are crossovers. I think they should expand the brand. Of course, all these vehicles that I'm going over, since they're future vehicles, are expanding the brand, but I think they could do it in the crossovers too, which is their bread and butter, and that's the market we're in. Lamborghini's effing making crossovers right now. How crazy is that? Okay, so there is a market for super high performance crossovers. Lexus knows how to build performance vehicles. They also know how to build crossovers. Why don't they jump in? So we're going to talk about the F crossovers that we could see from Lexus, starting with the UX. The UX just came out. It's a brand new vehicle. It's only been out for a couple months now, and there's already rumors and speculation going on about the UXF. Chika Kako, the chief engineer for the UX, was quoted last weekend in Florida, some sort of Daytona event, 24-hour Daytona. I don't know. I'm not into that sort of thing. She said, the brand's smallest crossover has potential to join the F family as a high-power gasoline electric hybrid. That's fairly specific. To me, that means they're already messing with it. They're already tampering with it. They have some high-power hybrid options out there that they really haven't put in their vehicles yet. So let's just speculate a little bit more. This would probably be a completely new power plant, as there isn't really anything in the current Lexus hybrid lineup that could fit the bill. They could go as extreme as what you'd see in the LS and the LC 500 with the 3.5 liter V6. I don't think that's just way too big of a displacement for that small of a vehicle. Could they put the RX 450H's hybrid setup in there? No, because again, that's 3.5 liters as well, even though it makes way less power. I think we could see a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder hybrid similar to that in which we see in the new ES and RAV4. And of course, it's also an older version of seen of it in the NX. However, I could see much more focus on the electric side, having much more robust electric motors out of it, possibly even making it a plug-in performance hybrid. How much power would it have? I really don't know. My guess it's probably going to be around 250 horsepower. I don't see them trying to push the envelope that hard. And the reason why is they got to keep this vehicle within the budget without pushing this car too far outside of its price tier, whatever you want to call that. For example, most UXs being shipped right now have an MSRP around $38,000, $39,000. So I think they could maybe be able to produce this F variant for starting at 50,000, probably 55. Now that I'm thinking it a little bit more, this would put the UXF right in line with the CLA 45 AMG Coupe that starts at 53,000 MSRP, and possibly the almighty BMW M2, which starts around 59,000 MSRP. The CLA 45 4MATIC scoots from 0 to 60 in just 4.1 seconds. That is crazy. And it has 375 horsepower from a 2-liter. That is nuts. The M2 makes 60 miles per hour in just 4.1 seconds. They're the same speed. They're just incredibly fast vehicles with 365 horsepower in that BMW. The UX has to go the hybrid route, in my opinion, so it can have all-wheel drive. I don't think its platform would allow it to have all-wheel drive with, like, let's say the 2.4 turbo, twin turbo we talked about in the IS earlier. I don't think it would be able to support all-wheel drive. And if you put that motor in this tiny, lightweight, front-wheel drive vehicle, it would just spin its tires all the time. There's way too much power and torque for just the front wheels on that vehicle. So they have to go the hybrid route, like Chica Kako said, so they can get power to the rear wheels. Is the UXF going to be as fast as the competition? No way in hell is it going to be as fast as the competition. I don't see that happening. However, it will get like 40 miles a gallon, possibly even more. And if it's a plug-in, then that skyrockets the miles per gallon even more. So you're going to have this high-performing plug-in hybrid, possibly. Hopefully it's a plug-in hybrid that goes 0 to 60 in probably 6.5 seconds. That also gets 60... Well, shoot, it might even go faster to 60 than that. It might be less than 6 seconds. But we'll see. I mean, everything's speculative at this point anyways. They could undercut the competition a little bit on price with this car. I think it would do really well in Europe. You make this car look as good as it does as in the pictures I'm showing you, and it gets 45 plus miles per gallon. I think you have something that's truly unique, a beautiful car, a well-handling car, and it's just something that we've never really seen before. So I think they could push the envelope there in terms of technology, a little bit of performance, and really, really good efficiency. It's kind of the whole package. Those other two cars are going to get maybe 20 miles per gallon at best. So I really hope we see a UXF kind of being a leader in terms of performance, hybrid luxury, small crossover, in a league of its own, really, with pretty good performance and excellent efficiency. The last model, I have no grounds on this vehicle. I just think it would be the next logical choice for the F brand to expand to. And this is going to be the NX. The NX, at its heart, is a very, very sporty crossover, even when it's not an F Sport trim. It could totally be made as an F vehicle, in my opinion. Now, this would happen probably in 2023 after its complete redesign in 2021. So we wouldn't see it anytime soon. It would be on a flexible, all-new platform, the TNGA-K platform, which you see the ES, the 2019 ES on. You see the brand new 2019 RAV4 on. They have two options here to kind of go down. They could go down the route with the UX we've just talked about. It's kind of this high-powered electric luxury crossover, which I think with the platform, I think that's what they would do. They kind of go down that, ultimate efficiency, really good performance, and it'll probably be cheaper to make in some ways, but I'm not going to get into that too much. But they could go down to the performance hybrid, or they could go with the 2.4 liter twin turbo V6 we saw in the 2021 ISF 350, or whatever they call that car with the new 2.4 liter twin turbo. Of course, I would love to see the 3.5 twin turbo that we would see in the ISF if they put that motor in it, and that's the same one, right, that we see in the LS 500. But I don't think there's really enough room under the hood for the NX for them to do that. Who knows? I could be wrong. Really, at this point, it's just a guessing game. I can't wait to see your comments below. If they do make an NXF, what are they going to put in it? Is it going to be a high performance hybrid, or is it they're gonna put some sort of forced induction inline 4 or a V6 into it? It's really just a crapshoot. So I can't wait to see you guys talk about it in the comments below. What would be the competition of this NXF? Well, it could be like the Porsche Macan Turbo or the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. That Quadrifoglio has like 500 horsepower though. I don't see them being able to keep up with that. They would have to put the LS 500 motor in it and boost its power a little bit to be able to keep up with that monster. If they have a hybrid electric that beats the rest of them in terms of maximum efficiency, I think they have a winner on their hands. We got to go over a couple more vehicles or speculative vehicles before we wrap this one up. Why not make an RXF? I kind of think that would infringe on the upcoming LF1 Limitless concept when they make it into a production car. That will probably come in at $100,000 for the base, and if you want the twin turbo V8 in it, it's probably going to be 150 grand or somewhere around there. This car is going to be unreal, this super luxury crossover. So I don't think they'll make an RC, or I don't think they'll make an RXF, and leave that more towards sporty younger brother, and younger brothers, I should say, the UX and the NX. But what about this LF1? What is it? Well, like I said, it's a super luxury crossover. I think it's going to compete head to head with the Lamborghini Urus. Possibly some of the faster Porsche Cayennes out there. I don't know a lot about them, but that would be my guess. It's going to be unique, I'll say that. It's going to be extremely luxurious, extremely fast, extremely cutting edge. And this is going to be the new flagship for the brand. Previously it was the LFA a few years back. Now we're talking about a super luxury crossover, which makes sense because the market's about crossovers. So if you have a halo, meaning a flagship crossover that generates incredible attention, well, guess what? Your crossover lineups below that are going to receive more buzz and probably more business, to be honest. You have a supercar that everyone hears about, and then they'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the dealership to see it, but you know what, I'm just going to buy the RX because I can afford it, or I'm going to buy the NX because I can afford it. So halo products are really, really good for brands because they create mind share. And I think that's what this LF1 Limitless, it might eventually be called an LQ, because that name is trademarked by Lexus, the LQ nameplate. So I'm really, really excited to see what happens with this vehicle. Could be a plug-in electric, it could be all electric, it could be the twin turbo V8 with 660 horsepower. Really don't know. Once I do have news on this car, you guys better believe I'm going to be making tons of videos about it. Well, that should wrap up really any speculations about the upcoming F performance models. I'm sure no one has ever on YouTube made a video like this, because no one is weird or as geeky as I am about this sort of thing. Which model would you be most interested in? For me, it's probably going to be the second generation ISF, just because like I said with the GSF, I can put my family in it. If the ISF is going to be better or bigger, yeah, it's going to be better, but bigger than the previous one, yeah, probably a good family car. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.